Hello everybody, welcome to Cape Rugby TV. Wednesday night we talk about what's happening in the world of Western Bronx Club Rugby. Nice to be back. It's of course been a lot of public holidays over the last few days, and well, it certainly hasn't stopped Club Rugby. Before we get going, let me just thank our sponsors. Big thanks to Hisense on board as our technical partner. Of course, Score Energy Drinks, as you know by now, on board with Cape Rugby TV, but also on board with the Western Bronx Club Rugby Sevens. Love the fact that Score, you can see them on my shirt here, is on board with us. Make sure you get your Score energy drink at pretty much anywhere. Nowadays you drive down the road and you see someone with a Score energy drink in their hand. Colour Tone is of course on board with Cape Rugby TV, as well as Dulux Maitland number 30 Coburg Road. Any of your paint specs and supplies, Dulux Maitland number 30 Coburg Road. Make sure you get down there. And then of course savesasport.com for all your clothing, apparel, rugby boots. Remember, you can get that discounted price if you use the Cape Rugby TV coupon code. We'll tell you more about that a little bit later. Now let me introduce you to my panel this evening. Jonah van der Walt from False Bay, rugby coach, head coach extraordinaire, former player himself. Long overdue. Jonah, we haven't had you on the show for a while. Welcome back.
Yeah, cheers, JP. Thanks a lot for having me. It feels like it's been almost 2-3 seasons since I've been here, but good to be here nonetheless.
And then, folks, for those of you that that watched last week's show, you will know that I was absent on the day, and the new Cape Rugby TV presenter extraordinaire, Mr. Lyndon Julius, stood in for me. Lyndon, thank you very much, and welcome back.
Oh, thanks, JP. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Jono. Yeah, it's been a very daunting position, sitting on that side of the chair. I told everyone this week that chair is definitely a chair that you don't just want to. Anyone can't just sit there. So, allow me to say, well done on the job that you've been doing for the last 8 years. It might look a bit easy. Yeah, at some point, getting into it sort of gets there. But I think it's definitely not. It's something in a broek om 'n huisstoel te sit.
Well, by all accounts, it went very well, and thank you from my side. And then I think the nice thing about it is that because Club Rugby is Club Rugby, and it's like everybody, if you get around the side of the field, you start talking rugby, you start talking about fixtures and where have you been, and certainly the bit that I watched was you guys just having a lekker sports conversation.
Yeah, it is. It does get easier if you have guys like Junaid and Tariq, and have a conversation. The conversation becomes, like you say, you're just sitting on the side of the field having a chat, or it's at the braai, or is that Sunday afternoon after you've had your lunch and you're getting ready for Kusista time, that kind of thing. Yeah. I think it's definitely something that many people take for granted, and I think we should get more of those conversations. Constructive conversations, but it's also conversations where you hear all sorts of stories. Around.
John, I mean, you can attest to that. I mean, it's kind of it's kind of hard to get home at the end of after a practice session or after a match. You really have to watch the clock.
Well, guys will talk rugby 24/7. If we didn't have practices, I think guys would just chat in general. So, but I suppose that's why Thursday evenings, afterwards you can have a cool drink or a beer, and that's a time to kind of solve the world's problems.
Yeah, well, I suppose we are busy solving them at the moment. Club Rugby guys are certainly solving it by saving a bit of water wherever they're going. And there's nothing quite like the world of sport to get a bunch of people together to start solving problems. I think in the world of sport, and in this case, Club Rugby is maybe just a vehicle. But in the world of sport, many sports organizations get together to either raise funds for charities or look after their own communities. I think that's the absolute beauty of the world of sport, and as I said, in this case, specifically a Club Rugby. So we're very proud to be involved with the Club Rugby guys. But as I said, the rain has not managed to put not a damper on things, so to speak. The guys are still going out, and ironic though. I mean, ironic wouldn't you say, John, that the rain comes down, we're praying for it, and then the rain comes down and we complain a bit. But it can't just stop raining between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock.
I just obviously, with Cape Town drivers, I don't know what it is, that as soon as the first drop of rain falls, everyone forgets their license or what they've learned, and then the road just backs up. But to get back to the sports, I think the rain is good. But it's like people just want to complain. Like we said, we prayed for rain, we got the rain, and now we're like saying it's raining too much.
Some of the fields, though, I mean, before we go to the games, and folks, incidentally, we went to watch St George's up against Young Hamilton's over the weekend. We've got a couple of great interviews lined up for you as well. We'll watch that match in Wellington between Young Hamilton's and St George's. And then we'll speak to St George's captain Kyle Bender, the St George's coach Marwan Davids, Phil Ray Josephs, you might remember him. He's captaining Young Hamilton's at the moment. And then, of course, Hamilton's coach, Awamuddin Karim. We'll speak to them during the course of the show. Jono, you've been around a little bit. How's the False Bay field looking? I believe we've seen some bad pictures, but some of the fields out there, this rain, and also just saving it, and maybe also based on the location that the field is in Cape Town. Some of the fields are looking pretty good.
Yeah, look, I think, to be quite honest, I think our field's looking the best shape it's been in the last 3-4 seasons, but we have also been off it, so we haven't been on it the whole year for about 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
Whenever there is a little bit of rain, that northwesterly that comes over the mountain range, we do tend to get a little bit, even if it's 20-30 minutes of rain. The small amount of millimeters obviously all adds up, but nowadays that it's getting into winter, we have a winter grass, so early in the morning with the dew and then late at night, it's looking nice and green, isn't as thick. There are still some patches, but I can tell you now, it's definitely playable.
It's unbelievable. Every coach out there has become a greenkeeper.
Pretty much, you have to.
My lawn is struggling a little bit. If you want to come around and
sure, we charge by the hour. That's fine.
Bring your own lawnmower. All right, folks. So we did get out to Wellington over the weekend, where St George's travelled away to play against Young Hamilton's. Let's catch up now with the first half. All right, the first half there, St George's against Hamilton's. They travelled out to Worcester to go and play against Young Hamilton, St George's. It's been fantastic having the Boerland clubs support the Western Province Club Rugby sides. Before we get into St George's, Jono, have you guys done much travelling on the False Bay side?
Yeah, we've done plenty travelling.
Yeah.
It just feels like this pre-season is about 2-3 years long already. So, but we've travelled to the Boerland, we've travelled to the West Coast, we've gone inland as well, past Worcester side. So we've done a fair bit of travelling already.
We've got a couple of nice pictures coming up from False Bay. We'll take a look at that a little bit later. London St George's, your home baby. What do you make of the turnout there, and of course the performance?
Yeah, obviously before last week it's been a sort of, you just play friendly after friendly, not really having the league or confirmation of the league. But now the league starting, I think practices and matches and friendlies will be a bit more structured, and the coach will get an idea of a player, is he going to stay, is he going to go, because you still find players moving, between clubs, sort of trying to find.
Do we know what the cut-off date is?
I think it's end of July.
End of July?
The 31st of July, yeah. Is the cut-off date for...
Jono, how does that impact player movement and so on? At which stage do coaches make their final decision?
Yeah, look, I think that the 31st of July is basically if you have players from other provinces that come here as well,
Right.
and then players from within. I think there is another cut-off that will happen now in the next week or two.
Because you've
which
got to
mean-
cut this off before the first game.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
So there'll be a cut-off, but there is still a little bit of player movement. Guys will still come down to practice. They'll have a look at squads and see if they can make it. I can think that's going to be a little bit tough though, because it's only a first, second, and the under-20s playing. So
Yeah.
if you have a club and they have some decent depth for guys to move around now, I think you're a little bit late to move around.
But John, what would you? What would you as a coach do now in a case where your third team and some clubs with their fourth teams, there's no matches? Do you arrange matches for them on the same day, or because obviously your second team coach would wanna draw from the third team, because most clubs, the depth of the third team is definitely what's especially a club like Falsbay and Durban, where that's your strength, and Hamilton's that's your third team is where most of those guys come through. I mean,
again, agreed. So we have a big challenge at our club because we have 6 senior sides. So what does our third, fourth, fifth, and sixth team do? Sure. And we have to take guidance from Western Province and so on, because obviously we're trying to protect the field. So it's not just a case of anybody can organise a friendly, but the real thing is actually the fields over here at the moment. So unfortunately, if the union agree and we can find maybe a suitable field, maybe like up at UCT or somewhere where the fields aren't a big issue, then maybe there can be games. But it's not a case of we can just organise a game for a third team on a Saturday, because it's still impacting the field, and that's the biggest problem here.
I don't see the problem, to be honest with you, because we thought that there was a problem in February. No games, we didn't know what to do.
And now we're playing
I absolutely trust our club coaches and administrators that in the next 2 or 3 weeks, with this third team or fourth team not existing, I absolutely trust our coaches are going to come up with, as we did with the player grid, they're going to come up with some fantastic creative ways to keep the third team, the fourth team, the reserve league, the Sunday league. They're going to come up with, even if the fields are not available, they're going to come up with fantastic creative ways to make sure that the players are looked after. So
I think also what they've also said is that like the captains and the players have said every week after week, they thank the coaches, they thank the administrators. They found ways, whether it's in a parking lot, whether it's on a netball field, whether it's on the beach, whether it's on the park across, whether it's at the school field. Like you said, they find a way, and I would like to share sentiments in saying that I'm full well confident in every coach.
John's stressed. I'm absolutely fine. John is sweating.
He's got a couple of more grey hairs since I've asked the question to him.
All right, folks, we're going to take an ad break when we come back from the break. And incidentally, before I go to the break, for those of you that are not sure on what we've been talking about now, it is now official. The league season will start for the non-university sides on the 2nd of June. Incidentally, the university league starts this Saturday, which was news to me. But that's really what we're talking about now, is the preparation of many of the teams, with the league now officially starting on the 2nd of June. Of course, lots of details still have to be worked out about who plays where and which fields are going to be okay, but all that's going to be ironed out over the next couple of weeks. So that's it, really. 2nd of June, and it's game on for club rugby. We'll take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we'll take a look at what happened in the second half of the Young Hamiltons versus St. George's game. Back in a sec. Well, welcome back, everybody. Remember, it's Western Province Club Rugby, and if you are busy with any activity out there, please use the hashtag #WP Club Rugby on any of your social media posts, and we will go and search for it, and hopefully we can share it and get it onto the TV show or on our Facebook pages. So essentially what we say is we amplify and tell everybody what it is that you're busy with. Right, so as we mentioned, we went out this weekend to go and watch Young Hamiltons up against St. George's. They were playing in Wellington. St. George's taking advantage of the last few weeks before the league starts. And as I mentioned before the break, 2nd of June, it's league time. right, folks, there you go. Playing, of course, in Wellington. Am I right? In Worcester. I've been corrected now. I don't know how many times. Guys playing in Worcester. Of course, Young Hamiltons against St. George's. Final score there. Young Hamiltons walking away with a 29 points to 25 victory against St. George's. All right, John, let's turn our attention a little bit to the rugby side of things here. What do you make of the game?
Oh, just judge my first and second half highlights. Looked like the back three ran away with it. The back three of Young Hamiltons. The right wing, some decent pace, and the fullback counter-attacking nicely there.
Yeah. St. George's side, they're going to want to. I mean, now it's not just a friendly anymore. It's like, no, it's a friendly, but hang on, we've got a date.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Lynn and the guys are really now going to be thinking, okay, hang on, how seriously did we take this game? What can we learn from that game?
Yeah, and obviously we've got to look at more tougher. I wouldn't say the competition that we've had over the last couple of months, but we've got to look at tougher competition. It's back in Super A, and you know the conditioning. I mean, Jono's experience in that as a player and as a coach. You could play now with it be shortening as well. The league, you could be playing a Saturday, a Wednesday, and a Saturday, and your Wednesday fixture would generally be a university team. So you'll be sitting with 3 tough fixtures, and if you don't have the depth or if you don't have a settled side, then you are in big trouble.
Jono, how much difference is it going to make come league time? I mean, a lot of teams. If I had to do so, I would say probably 20% of the teams in Western Province really made a huge effort to travel to the Boerland or to the West Coast or Overberg to play friendlies, and we kind of have been tracking them on a regular basis, where we saw a lot of the same teams making the same travel trip. So they got a lot of friendlies in the last 3 months, essentially. How much difference is that those friendlies going to be at league time, or was it too casual or too early to make any significant impact?
Yeah, again, I think it works twofold. So I can only go on my experience and what I would kind of do. I see a lot of guys have done...
Which is the reason we're asking you, because you're fairly experienced and you've done a fair bit.
So I'm not a firm believer in playing 10 or 12 friendlies before you play, and I'm not a firm believer in playing too many sevens tournaments. Guys love rugby, they want to play. Yeah. But one, there's a high risk of injury. And unless you have depth, if you have 6, 7 teams and you have the players, by all means go and play. But you really got to make sure that it's quality that you're playing, and not just quality opposition, quality rugby. So make sure that you have decent periodization between when you're playing and train, not just running on and using rugby to get fit, but rather get fit for rugby, just so that you minimize the risk of injury. The only reason why I have a huge focus on conditioning is not so that we can have big beasts. If you look at our false bet team, we're actually not even a big side, but it's purely for injury prevention, purely so that unless you get freak injuries and so on, but to make sure that your players can withstand the rigors that SLA has for it. So I don't like playing 10 friendlies. I will choose 3 or 4 friendlies. Now maybe the league has been a little bit later, so I might have added an extra friendly in, but then I'll make the squad size a bit bigger as well, so we can give more guys of a run. And then I'd rather really focus on quality, not so much quantity. But that's me personally. Other guys, they just want the boys to play. They want to see rugby every single weekend. They don't mind if the guys travel to all corners of the globe. Traveling also comes at a cost, though. You know, buses are very expensive. Petrol, carpooling, etc., etc.
Let me go to you then. So I've got a specific question there, but I'm going to go to you.
Okay, yeah, I'm just thinking, God, we get this man in at the Stormers. I mean, surely he sounds like he,
like
he's get something going.
Okay, so here's my question really. I mean, if you look at Super League A and you look at Super League B, and you've got teams like St. George's, and I mean, essentially you've got teams there that it's a new team. Maybe they haven't played together before. Surely more friendlies than less friendlies is a good thing. Forget it. Take away the conditioning and the injury side now. Just the fact that you get to know each other, you know where the players are, you get game time. It's like you've got to compete, you've got to play, you've got to run the ball.
Again, I'll go to periodization. If you want to play a league, and we haven't seen the fixtures yet, but if we still have to play 14 games, we could have all those 14 games crunched up into a smaller time, like a Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. That's going to take a huge toll on the body.
Yeah, but now, let's just look at the other 15 teams in the league.
Yeah.
So, assuming that they haven't done the kind of conditioning that you're talking about that False Bay has done. In other words, you know, there's a lot of other teams out there that did not travel, and they did not, in fact, they haven't really even practiced. From what we understand, because of the field facilities. Surely this amount of friendlies, the periodization and the conditioning aside now, we're going to get to a point where we start the league and some of those teams have not played at all, and they're going to try and squeeze in a few friendlies now at the last minute. I'm thinking that I'd rather have the guys get to know each other. I mean, maybe you're right. You know, a quality outfit with a quality coach can do 2 or 3 or 4 friendlies in the months before, before the league starts. But I'm tending to say for the teams that are much more community orientated and need the guys.
I also think it comes down to how disciplined your players are, or your squad that you have sort of training throughout the season. If you have a squad that is able to get to a gym or is able to train on their own, because you can't just expect the coach to train you. I mean, we've long passed that where, irrespective of what league you play, is Northern City or Southern League, your player or your first team, second or third team player, he needs to take the conditioning or the training or his fitness on himself, whereas the coach can then just see, okay, gauge where it is. I mean, the reality is, like you're saying,
if we just look at this, the reality is that on a Tuesday and Thursday, the guys have been practicing in a parking lot. They've had no rugby.
Yeah.
So the game day is about the only time that they get to pass the ball around. So if you take away the friendlies and you limit them and you say, okay, we're going to give you 3 friendlies and the rest is in the parking lot, that's the only time that they've got the ball opportunity.
See, now, I will say personally, I will not do that, because I would not want a rugby player to participate on a field if he is not conditioned, because he will get injured. So you don't use rugby to get conditioned. You get conditioned to play rugby. You don't say, let me have 10 games, so by the 10th game my guys are now fit. They will get injured. They might not get injured now, they will get injured as it goes on. And when the games really count and you need it, you're not going to have the players.
Good
but
point.
That's my opinion.
No. Well, I think these are the kind of lessons that we learn from experience, and maybe you're right.
I think also what
the way that you've explained it there now, I think that there's a lot of merit in that.
Yeah, I think what John is also trying to say is that the coaches should focus on the conditioning of match fitness away from matches and not use the matches like to condition. But it's also easier for a club that has got no field or no extra, there's no other thing to do other than to play. And the go-to thing for coaches these days, especially those that are in this position, all of us in this position for the first time in most of our coaching career or the club career, whereby our league has been delayed by 4 or 5 months, you find that, okay, let's get a friendly, it's against the club down the road or on the other side of the mountain, let's just play, just get the guys fit. But there is no real area for conditioning, whereas you can just think a bit more creative, use the grid we had up at the beginning of the season, and then just say, okay guys, let us get a bit more conditioning in. We don't have conditioning expertise within our club. Let's see if we can tap into people and the expertise in our community, and let's go. Let's have a conditioning session here. Let's see how this goes. Okay, we don't really need to play for the next 3 weeks. Let us do conditioning or match conditioning related.
Are we not maybe also, and we're going to have to stop the conversation because I do want to go to some interviews, but is the risk of injury not perhaps lower out of the Super League A sides?
I think it is. I think the strain on the Super League A sides on Jono's squad. I mean, he can say something. I mean, Jono's played Super A.
All right, I'm going to cut this conversation short here because you guys both know that all I want to see is more rugby on the box. So I'm going to, whatever I do, I'm going to be batting for the side that just says more playing, more rugby, more fields. That's what we're looking for, folks. We're going to take an ad break, and when I come back from the break, I'll be speaking to Kyle Bender from St George's as well as Merwan David from St George's. But before I do that, remember you can win yourself a case of Score energy drinks. All right, Score is of course on board with Cape Rugby TV. All you need to do is SMS the word SCORE to 33090. 33090, and you put yourself in the mix to win a case of Score energy drinks. Congratulations to last week's winner, Frederick van der Ross. Freddie, one of the guys from Cape Rugby TV is going to be in touch with you shortly, and you have a case of Score energy drinks on its way to you. Folks, also stay tuned a little bit later. I'm going to talk to you about how to join the Newlands Faithful. There's a fantastic supporters club package available for just R1,000. It's very easy. For R1,000 you can join the Newlands Faithful, which is essentially the Western Province Rugby and Stormers supporters club. But for R1,000 you can get R3,000 worth of value in your initial purchase to join the Newlands Faithful. And certainly we want as many more Newlands Faithful and Western Province Rugby supporters out there. And certainly if you're a Club Rugby, Western Province Club Rugby player, we would hope that you support Western Province Rugby and the Stormers. So you should be a Newlands Faithful member. We'll take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we'll kick off our interviews with Merwan David. Welcome back, everybody. You're watching Cape Rugby TV. It's fantastic to be talking about Western Province Club Rugby, and certainly the fever is starting to hit. Merwan Davids is the coach of St George's. As you know, we went out to Worcester to go and watch Young Hamiltons against St George's over the weekend.
Ja nee, soos jy kan gesien het, ons het voor die wedstryd klomp onttrekkings gehad. Maar vir ons was die skool irrelevant. Ons het gekom om preparations en om planne in aksie te sit. En ek dink dit was by glimpses daar. En by tye was dit nie daar nie. Ja, die skool was nou nie in ons gunsie, maar ek dink die terugvekpoging kon jy duidelik sien. Die manne het gestiek by wat ons gesê het hulle moet doen. Definitely as 420 kinders. Jy weet soos die league aangaan, die winter raak harder, dan begin die first team ouens seerder te kry en dan moet jy op backup reg wees. En vandag was dit als deel om ons te kyk of ons backup reg is. En ons het 'n paar glimpses gesien weer eens van die 120s waar hulle uitgestreel het. Ek dink as jy net die veld sien dan moet jy smile. Ja, nee, om terug te kom, ons veld is selfgroen, net van die bietjie reën, maar ons is tevrede met wat ons het. As jy lief is vir die ding, dan worry jy nie wat is bysake is. Die bysake is waar jy moet oefen. Dis dat ons geoefen op die beach en dat ons 4 leagues agter mekaar gewen, so dit is maar net 'n matter of mind over matter.
Well, Mirwan Davids, of course, the coach there at St George's. He's been a little bit absent. Lyndon?
Yeah, Mirwan was just had a bit of was in hospital for quite a few weeks. He's very strong. I mean, he's had his sort of challenges, but he's back now.
Yeah.
And his work commitments doesn't allow him. You know, we all are what they call working class heroes, and Jono knows this. I mean, you have to sidestep that. Yeah,
one of those.
Because we all have to work.
In the back of a Datsun.
Yeah, we all have to work.
Yeah, we have to work.
But how do you find that balance? You just find a way?
It's tough, but like he mentions, you know, we love it.
But there again, of course, you don't stay 50 k's away from your club.
No.
Yeah.
So in other words, you're a club coach. Your coach is at a club that's close to your house.
Community
A
based.
community club. All right, folks, we managed to catch up there also with the young Hamilton's captain, at least captain of St George's, Carl Bender.
Beauty of a day, perfect day for rugby. Heat a bit on this side, but beauty day. I think I just want to say well done to Hemis. I think they deserve it. They were the better team on the day, so yeah. Yeah, I was very impressed with a few guys coming off the bench, all under 20 guys. They showed guts, some showed massive confidence, which I never even knew they had, but anyway. I just want to say they should work hard for the league. Maybe they'll come in our plans, maybe they will be used, so I'm glad that they came through today. Scoreboard not very convincing on the scoreboard. I think today's game we wanted to target. We actually wanted to win. But due to some injuries, senior player guys, I think that's where we came through. And second half we played right in their hands where they wanted the game a bit loose. So I think that's where they capitalized, and so well done to them again.
Welcome back, everybody. Fantastic chatting there with Carl Bender. We've had him on the show a few times. Lyndon, otherwise known as Renzel Julius, formerly known as Renzel Bortman. My absolute favorite mistake between the two of you guys is that I just always
it's an ongoing mistake.
mental block on this. But just going back there to Carl Bender, he's showing some fantastic leadership skills there.
Yeah, and he's very young. He's playing his third season at the club in the senior side. So it's good to see that the guys like Carl Bender, Nakib Davids, you know, there's Dimitri Hendricks at the club that is sort of they're all sub 24 years of age. So I mean that's sort of a prime age to throw to the deep end. But in a couple of years' time, I think Jono can attest to this, that if you see these guys, you just stick with them, stick with the combinations, and then in a few years' time, they'll become your core group of your first team setup.
Jono, you've become one of the most successful coaches in Western Province, probably in the history of Western Province. You seem to have found this like psychological balance together with rugby balance and the realities of that goes with rugby, from fields to finances to community to making the actual entertainment facilities work. Building on what Lyndon has said here now, when do you bring in a new captain, change a captain, blood a captain?
Yeah, again, just to touch on the Lulu boys there, you know, nice to see them getting under 20s a mix, having guys, you know, they call them their backups and basically their depth. At False Bay, we will do that all the time. Sometimes we will use our third team for youngsters which just come in from under 20s. We'll put them into our third side. We'll blood them over there. To give you an example, I think the game against Unimol on the weekend, I look back and last year in the third side we had 7 guys and they were all playing in the first side. So it's not that they're thirds, that they're poor or terrible, it's just that they're young and they're learning the game and they're coming through. So we will have a look at certain captains and leaders in leadership, and we will try and rotate every 2 to 4 years depending on what's happening.
You keep saying this we. Do you and your management team, or who do you consult with?
Yeah, so one, it will always be players. So we'll consult with all players, and that's from all teams, 1s, 2s, and 3s. But obviously, we'll also concentrate on all of our coaches. So we're lucky that we keep continuity within the club. So our first, second, and third team coaches haven't changed in the last 5-6 years. So we have continuity.
Is that a Jonathan Volt philosophy, or is it something that is embraced at False Bay all along?
I think it's something that's embraced at False Bay all along. We try not to chop and change too much. One thing that I can say that has maybe been one of the reasons why we have been successful is because we have continuity within the committee, we have continuity within the coaching staff, and then continuity within the players as well. You know, we talk about a core group. I have some guys that have been they've been SLB, they've been SOA, been relegated and back up and won a league and a Gold Cup, and they've been part of the club for 10 years. So they've experienced the highs and the lows, but the core group, and they're still there. And then we use the youngsters to come in and build a team around them.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic stuff. That's what we need, folks, a lot of leadership. And remember, there's no team out there or no club out there who is only run by the coach. Or by the chairperson or the president, for that matter. It is all about consulting. You're all in it together, and you all have a responsibility to the club, which is why we support Club Rugby. Right, incidentally, if you want to save yourself 20% on apparel, especially rugby apparel, now's the time for you to get it. SaveSASport.com is on board with Cape Rugby TV, and you can get yourself 20% discount if you go to the SaveSASport.com website. 20% off everything online, from rugby boots to footwear and apparel. Remember, 20%, just use the coupon code Cape Rugby TV, and it's free delivery anywhere in South Africa for purchases above 750 Rand. Brands such as Puma, Mizuno, Canterbury, New Balance, and Asics, and many other items, of course, also available on the SaveSASport.com website. Just go there and use the Cape Rugby TV coupon code Cape Rugby TV. Get yourself 20% off all your boots and apparel that you might need for the season coming up, you haven't been playing your friendlies. We'll take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we'll catch up with Phil Ray Joseph. He is the captain at Young Hamiltons, formerly captain at UWC, and we'll also speak to the Young Hamilton coach, Awamuddin Karim. Back after the break. Welcome back, everybody. Right, Phil Ray Joseph is, of course, the captain at Young Hamiltons. We went out there over the weekend to go and watch St George's up against Young Hamiltons playing in Worcester. He was formerly captain at UWC. Let's see what Phil Ray has to say.
Ja, wat om op 'n span te speel wat uit die Kaap kom is altyd maklik. Maar soos elke span maar op 'n maandag, dinsdag, donderdag verkieslik hulle voorbereiding doen, het ons ons voorbereiding gedoen. Ons het uitgekom, die manne was so 'n bietjie moeg, pamperlam uit die begin van die game, maar ons het ons composure gewys en ons het deurgekom met 'n bang. Dankie aan my manne, die manne was hard, hulle spoot uit. Maar dis waaroor rugby gaan oor die liefde van die game en die hart wat ons wys. Ek waarna ons kyk die jaar is, ons het 'n hele nuwe bestuur, 'n nuwe stelsel wat ons ingebring het. Die jong laities, hulle wat die vuur na die spanne toe bring op die ou ende. Ons moet wegbeweeg van die legendes se era toe, want ons gaan vorentoe, ons gaan nie meer agtertoe nie. En hulle is wat die bread and butter van die klub. En as daar nie groei is, dit baie die klub gaan bestaan nie. Want hoe ouer jy raak, hoe meer moet jy spasie maak vir nuwelinge wat inkom. En dis waaroor dit gaan. Ons is 'n gemeenskapsspan en ons is 'n people's team. Week in, week uit is hulle wat die span dra. Ons is die spelers wat speel, maar sonder hulle kan ons niks maak nie. Hulle sê ons is 'n people's team. Hoekom? Want week in, week uit sal jy duisende mense rondom die veld kry. Ons plan vorentoe is vir elke game vat ons stap vir stap. Ons kom voorberei, ons doen ons preparation elke week en daarvoor gaan ons vorentoe. Ons het nie hopes op ons gaan dit doen en daai doen nie. Ons vat game stap vir stap.
Oh, welcome back. Nice chatting there with Phil Bray Joseph. What a pleasure at least seeing one of our old Club Rugby, Western Province Club Rugby players continuing with his rugby and playing abroad, or not abroad, playing in the Boland area. I suppose playing abroad is pretty close to it. But Awamuddin Karim is, of course, the coach at Hamilton's.
Ja, nee, brilliant. Ik zei veel rugby vandaag, het is 7 uur. Als regtig waar was het plesier om St George's te kunnen krijgen bij ons. Baie geleerd dit, maar ons weet nou waar ons tekortkoming is en waar ons vorentoe kan gaan met dit. Ons is 'n baie jong span. As ek kyk na ons groep wat ons het van 30, ons gros is omtrent 22 uit die 30 uit. wat youngsters is wat deurkom wat vir ons die volgende 10 na 15 jaar kan dra. Kom ek sê vir u, vir ons as Young Hamiltons van dag 1 af het ons vriendskaplike wedstryde gespeel. Weg en tuis, daar was waar velde beskikbaar was, het ons gegaan. Ons het vir die afgelope, ons het nou ons 11ste wedstryd. Ons het 1 baie gehad. 11 wedstryde agter mekaar. So definitief ons is reg goed voorberei vir die volgende seisoen. Wat moontlik gaan afskop volgende week. Ja nee, daar kan ek vir definitief aan ons toeskouers hier vandag wil ek hulle baie dankie sê. Sonder hulle kan ons dit nie doen nie, eerlikwaar. Ons ek meen ons spelers op die veld wat word aangehelp deur hulle deur daardie stem hier buite. Jy kon self sien vandag 'n volle steen reg rondom die veld was daar mense. Ek dink die in die Boland of die stadium trek soveel getalle soos ons getrek nie op die stadion. Klub is gesond, rugby is gesond by ons en dit beteken ons het 'n goeie voet om voort te gaan vir die seisoen.
Well, welcome back, everybody. So, our Mudin Karim there just talking about, in fact, he didn't even talk that much about rugby. And so, one of the things that he mentioned there was the importance of the fans, and fans keeping the club alive. That, you can play in an isolated around a field, and if you don't have fans, well, you're not going to have a club.
Yeah.
And the last few months, Johnny, you're not so sure?
Yeah, I think rugby players make a club. The fans follow because it's friends and family of the rugby players, depending on which community you're in. So I don't know about fans making a club, but surely it has to be the other way around.
The tuck shop.
If you don't have players that come down, there's no rugby. The fans can't come and watch anything.
Let's say you've got your players.
Yeah.
But if you don't have any fans, I mean, you're going to struggle.
Well, it's like saying the fans make the Stormers then. The fans make Western Province. Are we saying that now?
Well, clearly the fans are not necessarily making the Stormers. The Stormers won, and there weren't a lot of people around.
There was a lot of orange, like an orange in the state. I don't know if it's a new colour,
Victory.
But the seats were a lot of orange.
Well,
I don't know if
we're going to have to change that. And to change that, you need to join the Newlands Faithful. It's very easy to do. In fact, let me tell you how to join the Newlands Faithful, because we certainly want to support the Stormers and the Western Province Rugby. In fact, if you do well at Western Province Club Rugby, you obviously want to go and play for the Western Province side. So you need to go to the Western Province site, wprugby.com website, and sign up for the Newlands Faithful Supporters Club package. It's an exclusive welcome package worth R1,000, or at least it's worth R3,000 for only R1,000, and you can become a Supporters Club member. Now, for that R1,000, you get a jersey already worth R1,000. You get a free Western Province Rugby or Newlands Faithful cap. You get your membership card, a bonus gift, R500 Adidas voucher. So you're already for your R1,000 are getting a lot more. To the value of R3,000 is what I said. So a DHL Stormers jersey will be on the cards for you once you join the Newlands Faithful. A brand new Newlands Faithful cap, also courtesy of Western Province Rugby. R500 Adidas voucher. You get your membership card, and you can use that card at various loyalty locations. You get a certificate from Western Province Rugby, a membership certificate. I think that's fantastic. That shows your loyalty to Western Province Rugby. And then, of course, bonus gifts from various sponsors and partners such as Land Rover and Bright Rock, and then a free trial gym access at Virgin Active. All this is part of your Newlands Faithful Supporters Club membership pack. And then on top of that, you get a Faithful SIM card starter package. All right, so a whole lot of benefits for you when you join the Newlands Faithful Supporters Club. And then all of that will be delivered to your door courtesy of the sponsors DHL. So it's easy as that. Go and visit www.wprugby.com and join the Newlands Faithful. I think this is one of the new drives at Western Province Rugby is the Supporters Club initiative, and that is, in fact, what any club does exist on. Is the Supporters Club. I don't really care what my co-panel here has to say. The fans is what makes up the sport. Without the fans, there won't be TV. Without the fans, there won't be broadcasting. Without the fans, there won't be sponsorship. So basically, I'll have to give our chief coach here a bit of a lesson in terms of making sport work, because certainly if you were a Manchester United supporter, you would understand that the Manchester United Supporters Club has got about 500 million fans.
Of which 200 is in Cape Town. Of which 200 million is in Cape Town.
And then the Liverpool fans apparently have got even more.
So hang on a sec. What we're saying, because that's on the professional game, but we're club rugby, which is amateur. So yes. Then we are saying that the team with bigger fans, so like Wellington and those guys that get 15,000 spectators and fans, that club should be roaring. They should be winning national club champs every single year, saying, yeah. Because that's who it is.
100%. That's exactly what we're saying. Because if I was running a club and I had 15,000 fans coming to a game, I guarantee you I would be one of the wealthier clubs in Cape Town. Because with 15,000 fans, you can do everything you need to do. Social media, content marketing, database creation,
But you obviously-
websites,
you
and
obviously-
Facebook, and so much more. And that's what a sponsor wants. And when you get your sponsors because you've got 15,000 loyal fans, you've got a lot of cash coming in.
But also you need to
Are
have
we
someone.
buying into that one?
You
Are
need
we
to
buying-
have,
are we buying into my philosophy?
I'm just to add on to that.
Look at John,
you
he's
also
like-
need you also need people to drive.
You've got to show John's face. This is the face we want to see. All
I'm
right.
getting there. I'm getting there.
You also need to have someone to drive those 15,000 people towards, buying into the social media and buying into the. So you can have the 15,000.
I agree, though.
but
We
then-
would agree.
Yeah,
you
no,
would
of
like
course.
to have 15,000 fans.
Of course, we would
And-
love to have those
Okay.
15,000 at a club.
All right.
And I know there are many clubs in the Boland that have got 15,000 on any given weekend, but it's capitalizing on that 15,000.
Because I can tell you, there's no fun
problem.
being a player playing in the finals and you've got 10 spectators.
No,
around
it
the field.
isn't. Yeah.
Right.
It's not.
You want.
You want more people there.
Absolutely. I mean, that's. I think our concept, I think, is also not just around. I think we've been educating Western Province in at a club level. We've for a long time have said that every game should be an event.
Yeah.
An event whereby there's jumping castles for the kids, there's poikikos competitions, there's whatever it is that you want to build, if you can. And that's about offering value to the community. So your fans is really your local guys who have an opportunity to come to the field, and that's kind of where we're at. But having said that, we know that a player, any club rugby player, will play his heart out in the day, regardless of how many people there are around them.
It makes it also easier for the player to also know that that the community is supporting the club.
And I think that's going to be one of the challenges now. 2nd of June, a lot of the clubs are going to have to reignite. You've had to work so hard on making sure you've got all your players coming to the clubs and coming to the practice and so on. Now you've got to reignite your fans because you haven't had contact with your fans and your supporters for a long time. So the next few weeks is going to be critical that you engage your fans on, whether it be on Facebook or on TV. You've got to start sending out the notifications. Rugby's back on. Make sure that everybody knows about it. We'll take a last ad break. When we come back from the break, we'll take a look at some of the rugby results, and then we'll speak to John van der Walt about some of the false bay activities. One of the teams that have come out with a full list of our grid activities. We'll take a look in a sec. All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Cape Rugby TV. We talk Western Province Club Rugby. Just a reminder, on Facebook is where we need all your information, www.facebook.com/Cape Rugby TV. If you share it with us using the hashtag #WP Club Rugby wherever you are, then we're able to pick up on it and give you the publicity you need to bring your fans, your players, your sponsors on board for your club. All right. Without that, you literally have no excuse. You need to make every single little bit of effort to make your club work. Let's quickly look at some of the friendly results over the weekend. Paul went out to Westbank. It was a good result there for Paul, 53-19. Invincibles, Silvertree, we travelled to them, 35-19. Albions, meanwhile, went to Piketberg, 24-39. Macassar took on Safco, 23-27. Violets travelled to United Stones. They took a loss there, 11 points to 5. And then False Bay had a huge win, I believe, playing at the Melkbos Rugby High School. 42 points to 17. Jono, you guys, Melkbos High School?
Yeah, it's an interesting field, but thank you to them for allowing us to use the field, so I suppose we can't complain, but there was a bit of beach sand around there and a bit of uneven ground, but it was nice for the guys to get to play. Only the first and second team played out there, and it was nice to get a 5-pointer.
Yeah, okay, let's talk a little bit about Fast Bay over the last couple of months. You guys have been very active. I've got a couple of photographs here and I want to talk to you about that. So we got a picture here with a bunch of guys standing here with two empty beer crates in their hand. Give us a rundown. What are we doing here?
Yeah, so basically what's happened over the pre-season. So this is in the Boland region.
Okay.
And basically we get a lot of requests for people wanting to play False Bay Rugby Club. And because we have six senior sides, we generally tend to make sure that we can have a weekend available, make sure that we have a team.
What did you go do there? What were you up to?
So our guys went and they basically went along and they went and played a game, and afterwards they enjoyed some festivities with some of the local guys.
Okay, we've got another picture here. This looks like almost like you're at an airport.
We sent a group of guys to a Zim Sevens tournament.
Right.
So a very small group of between 12 and 15 guys, and they went across to Zimbabwe to Harare, and they went to Vic Falls, and they had quite a nice little holiday as well as some sevens as well, and played against some of the international teams that were there.
In shot there, some of your guys. Looks like they really had a lot of fun there.
And there again, a mixture of guys from first, second, thirds, and under 20s, and guys just put together, and they went on a tour.
All right, another picture here. Of course, well, this is closer to home now. And well, is this your first team?
No, this will be another mixture again of False Bay guys, and this will be first, seconds, and thirds mixed, and they're up the West Coast playing some rugby.
So these guys, okay, so you travel to the West Coast in this case, and then we got well, this looks like Eddie Teron, and who's that in shot?
That's Ryan Willifear. Ryan Flace Willifear.
Flace is, of course, is he still playing at 8th man?
He is 8th man. He's our stand-in captain, while Graham Snoopy Knoop is recovering from an ankle operation. And that is just the two captains sharing in the pleasantries before dishing each other out some tackles on the weekend past.
Yeah, no, Flace, both Flace and Ryan, not guys that I prefer to have to stop once they got the forward motion. I'd rather stop them while they're standing still. Because, I mean, Flace is one of these unbelievable players. I mean, even if he's not quite injured, put it that way, he'll still want to keep going.
Yeah, look, Flace has become a seasoned campaigner. He joined the Bay and played under 20s there. He's now one of our most capped players now at 173 caps. So he's been around for 10 years, still going strong.
173.
173 caps.
173.
That's False Bay caps.
False Bay.
So he's been around
Justin
quite a while.
Justin had 200.
216 caps.
216 caps. All right, Flace.
And
sorry,
another
buddy,
gentleman.
Flace, you've got a bit of way to go, all right? You've still got to need another 70 caps or so before you catch up with Justin. Jono, one of the things you guys did right in the beginning of the year already was you started with this CrossFit. In fact, I know you guys have been doing CrossFit as part of your conditioning training for many years now. Yeah. But this year you made it a little bit more interactive and a little bit more participation between the guys. We've got a picture here of the guys at the CrossFit, and I think you called this Bay Fit or False Bay Fit at one stage. You renamed it Iron Sharpers and Shapers Drill. I'm not quite sure what you got there, but the CrossFit thing's been working for you guys.
Yeah, look, I think there's some people that kind of give CrossFit maybe a negative connotation, but we use the facility and we use CrossFit elements, which have lots of every minute on the minute, lots of high intensity intervals, but we do a lot of rugby specific work as well.
But you were able to use the CrossFit as a draw card for players who didn't have game time. You wanted to keep them busy, so you created activities around that.
Correct, yes. So what we went and did is we've obviously been doing it for the last 4 to 5 years, and we've really make it kind of a staple part of our diet. So every single Monday we will eat CrossFit. There's guys that call CrossFit other names, but every single Monday we are out there, and we are pretty much, we call it the grind, and we basically after a game, it's kind of our reset button, and we make sure that we're there. The medical staff will come and they'll look after niggles and any injuries, but the rest of the guys are always working hard.
And then we've got another picture here, and this Eddie is in picture there together with Graham Snoop. Not sure who else is there with.
That'll be Norman as well with him there.
So this was one of the first initiatives that you guys had in place right in the beginning of the season. We saw which is why I say I've got so much faith in the coaches coming up with creative ideas. And this is one of the things you guys did. Was one of your very first initiatives when you knew that the games were going to be postponed. Was you did this challenge on the beach and CrossFit challenge combined with almost like a twinning project with Milnerton.
Yeah, well, it actually even goes further. Myself and Ishmael Dolly chatted in about October, November the year before, and we said, listen, come next year, Jan, Feb, we want to do something different. We don't just want to do friendlies, and we want to make it kind of competitive, and we thought that we would be the first 2 clubs to do it, and at a later stage, if it kicked off and it did well, we can invite other clubs as well to come and join us. It's a nice way to get away from the field, but at the same time keep it very competitive, and also it's very similar movements slash kind of fitness, which also ties in with rugby as well.
All right, folks, well, we're sharply running out of time now. John, really, I think it's been incredible what you guys have done. The Bay, I think, once again showing that if one thinks out the box and everybody works together as a team, and you certainly support the local people, well, you can come up with creative ways to make sure a club keeps ticking. So, well done. And add to that, your field is now looking fantastic. Hopefully you get all the tick boxes, and we'll see you guys in the park quite soon.
The guys are looking forward to it. As we said, again, it has been a challenge. I do feel for the guys that are obviously in the lower teams that maybe aren't going to get some rugby, but hopefully we can all work together and make sure that at least some of those guys can still play rugby this year.
Yeah, I think life can be brutal at some stage. I mean, you guys have had an incredible couple of seasons. Your fans and your players are all used to this activity, this momentum of being the champions. The wind got taken out of your sails a little bit, so I feel for you guys, but what you've done in the meantime to keep the gears going has been incredible. So, well done on from the Cape Rugby side of things.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Lyndon, let's move to you quickly. University's back in the park now
Yeah.
for the first few weeks before we get to the 2nd of June.
Yeah, so obviously they're coming out of successful Varsity Shield and Varsity Cup competition.
Yeah, so it's all action now.
Both of them have won it, so it's all action now for this week with UWC and UCT up against each other at UCT. I think the confirmation might have actually come out already, but they'll be going in. I think Chester Williams might fancy his chances. Given the successful that he's had over the last 2 or 3 years, he's also built towards something, and UCT definitely want to get back to that groove of winning again.
So basically, club rugby's back on from this
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
If we obviously have to just get final confirmation,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
From what we understand, the university is starting now, and then folks, just incidentally, you've got to give Western Province Rugby a little bit of breathing space to make sure that they sort out the fixtures and which fields are playable. Not every field is ready yet, and I'm sure now with the rain coming down, the fields will be looking better, but it's going to still take a little bit of time for the grass to actually come through from the roots before you pull your lawnmower out. Right, Lyndon, thanks for joining me here.
Thank you.
And big thanks for stepping in while I was away.
Yeah, it was big shoes to fill. And thanks for trusting me with that, but yeah, it was a good experience.
There's going to be more of those coming up. So,
Morgan Newman better come back, please, because I think he's a bit more experienced in that regard.
no,
He's obviously traveling a lot
you
and stuff. Yeah,
guys-
so I think.
You guys are selling yourself short, dude. I mean, anyone, like I said, anyone, just put 2 oaks in a rugby around a table and tell them to talk rugby, and they'll be busy for hours.
With the 8-9 cameras around, it makes a difference.
Jono, what's next for you guys?
We have a week's break and then we take on Durban, and hopefully it will be a home game. If not, we're out at Higunu Hoërskool in Wellington. But let's see, I'm sure the union will give us some good news in the next week or two, and then we can continue to plan. I'm sure some fixtures will come out. I'm sure every coach, every club is waiting for those fixtures. I know the varsities will obviously continue to play this week, and so for all those clubs out there, at least we have some rugby. Prepare and all the best, and hopefully everyone stays injury free.
Jono, thanks for joining us here on Cape Rugby. It's been fantastic having you back. Once again, the time just went in a shot.
Cheers, thanks again, thanks for having me, man.
Lyndon, thanks a lot, and we'll see you hopefully again next week, same time.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and have a good weekend.
Right, folks, that's a wrap from us here at Cape Rugby TV. We trust that you've enjoyed your time with us, and so far as we know, it starts this weekend. Remember, go to the Western Province website, wprugby.com, and go and sign up for the Newlands Faithful. You sign up online, R1,000, you get yourself 3,000 rands worth of value as a Newlands Faithful supporter. It really, really is one of the things that we want to support here at Cape Rugby TV, is making sure that we all stand together as Western Province Rugby. Club rugby, school rugby, everybody. You'll be one of the biggest families in the country. Looking forward to that. That's a wrap from us here at Cape Rugby TV. It's great to be back, and once again, thanks to Lynn and Julius for standing in for me last week. What an absolute rare pleasure, and a big thanks. We'll see you again next week, same time, same place. Fantastic rugby weekend. Bye-bye.